Hello friend, welcome back to my channel. Have you ever met someone who seemed almost too nice, too perfect, right from the start? When someone seeks control, they rarely begin with force. They start with kindness. They flatter. They comfort. They make you feel deeply seen. You drop your guard thinking you found something rare. But what if I told you, it's not connection. It's a strategy. It's honey on a blade. Sweet at first, until it cuts. A spider's web, soft, delicate, but designed to trap. Just like that honey in the web, dangerous people use softness as camouflage. While you're basking in their warmth, they're mapping your mind, quietly learning what breaks you and what buys you. And when they've earned your trust, that's when the game begins. So how do you see through the mask before it slips? Stay with me, because the final sign is the one they hope you'll never notice. 1. They mirror what you want to see. Let's start with one of the most subtle and dangerous forms of manipulation, mirroring. These people don't present as a threat. In fact, they appear perfect, too perfect. They seem to understand you effortlessly. They echo your values, share your frustrations, and reflect your dreams. But the connection isn't real. It's manufactured. In the beginning, they study you, silently. They pick up on your tone, your pain points, your beliefs. And then, they shapeshift. They become exactly who you're looking for. It feels like fate. But it's not. It's performance. Marcus Aurelius once warned, "The closer something resembles truth, the more carefully it must be examined." The most convincing lies wear the mask of sincerity. If someone echoes your thoughts, agrees with every word, and seems flawlessly aligned, slow down. You might be falling for the version of them they created, not the person they are. A quick story. A woman I know, let's call her Rachel, met someone who seemed like a mirror image of her soul. He liked the same music, believed in the same causes, claimed the same wounds. Weeks in, she felt more connected than she ever had before. But once she was emotionally invested, everything changed. He turned cold, dismissive, controlling. Rachel realized too late. He hadn't revealed himself. He'd studied her and performed a role. How do you protect yourself? First, give things time. Authenticity is steady. Performance fades. Second, pay attention to over-alignment. If someone never disagrees or challenges you, that's not compatibility. That's a signal. And third, let trust be earned, not granted. 2. They weaponize kindness. Now let's talk about one of the most disarming tactics in the manipulator's arsenal, kindness. But not the kind that comes from generosity, the kind that comes with strings. This kindness is overwhelming, fast, loud, and deeply flattering. It feels like affection, but it's a transaction. They're not giving to connect. They're giving to gain control. They're compliments, gifts, and support, not acts of love, leverage. They don't say it outright, but soon the expectations emerge. After everything I've done for you, I thought you were different. That's when the mask slips, and you realize you weren't being helped. You were being handled. Seneca once said, "Beware of those whose kindness arrives too soon. They may not stay long after it's gone." True kindness is patient. It asks for nothing. It doesn't confuse. It doesn't keep score. Here's a story. A man I know, Daniel, was mentored by someone at work who seemed like a godsend. Compliments, support, introductions. Daniel felt lifted, seen. But once Daniel started succeeding on his own, the tone shifted. That same mentor began to guilt trip him. "You'd be nowhere without me. Don't forget who put you on the map." Daniel realized all that help wasn't free. It was an investment. And now the bill had arrived. How do you protect yourself? First, observe the speed. Genuine connection grows, it doesn't sprint. Second, notice the balance. Real kindness doesn't come with an invoice. Third, trust your intuition. If it feels off, even if it looks generous, pause. Because here's the truth. The most dangerous people often seem the nicest at first. Not because they care, but because they know. Kindness is the easiest disguise. And once they have your trust, they use it. That was the plan all along. 3. They study your weaknesses in silence. They come with patience. They seem warm, charming, harmless. But behind the smiles and soft words, they're observing. Not loudly, but quietly, carefully. They watch how you respond to praise. They notice what lights you up and what makes you flinch. They listen to what you repeat, what you avoid, and what you long for. Every nod, every compliment, every moment of attentiveness. It's not just kindness, it's data collection. Here's the hard truth. While they appear attentive, they're actually gathering intel. They're mapping your fears, your insecurities, your unmet needs. Because later, when it suits them, they'll use it all. At first, you won't even notice. You'll just feel subtly off balance, as if you're being guided into decisions or dynamics that don't feel like your own. That's the manipulation. They're not attacking. They're steering you with your own pain. This is where Stoic wisdom becomes vital. Epictetus once said, "The wise man studies himself. The manipulator studies others." A person committed to growth turns inward. They reflect, they refine. But manipulators, they study others, not to connect, but to control. If someone knows your deepest fears but reveals nothing of their own, if they remember every detail of your insecurities but protect their own, like a secret vault, that's not empathy, that's strategy. Let me share a story. A woman I know, we'll call her Natalie, started dating someone who seemed unusually thoughtful. He remembered everything. Her childhood fears, her doubts about work, her strained relationship with her father. At first, it felt comforting, like being truly seen. But months later, during arguments, he began using those very things against her. "You're acting just like your dad. No wonder you can't keep a job. You don't even believe in yourself." That's when Natalie realized he hadn't been listening to connect. He'd been collecting ammunition. So how do you protect yourself? Don't confuse attention with care. Just because someone listens doesn't mean they have your best interest at heart. Pace your vulnerability. Not everyone deserves access to your story, especially not early on. Watch for imbalance. If they know your wounds, but you know nothing of theirs, pay attention. At the end of the day, some of the most dangerous people are the best listeners. Not because they want to understand you, but because they plan to use you. So stay grounded, speak mindfully, and remember, trust is earned, not owed, especially to those who simply seem kind. 4. They build trust. Just to break it, now let's talk about one of the most painful forms of betrayal. When someone earns your trust, only to later use it against you. At first, they seem open, vulnerable, real. They share stories from their past. They lean into deep, emotional conversations. It feels like connection. It feels safe. So naturally, you open up. You share your story, your fears, your secrets. And you believe, for a moment, you found someone who truly gets you. But what feels like emotional intimacy in the moment was actually construction. They weren't building a bond. They were building leverage. Here's the truth. They earn your trust, not to protect it, but to break it later. Your confessions become ammunition. Your vulnerability becomes exposure. And when conflict arises, when they don't get their way, they use your story against you. This is where Stoic mindset becomes your protection. Heraclitus once warned, "Do not disclose your wounds to those who offer only salt." Not everyone who seems emotionally available is safe. Some people rush closeness, not out of care, but to fast-track your trust. Because once they have it, they know exactly how to turn it into control. Let me share a story. A man I know, Tyler, grew close with a colleague who seemed deeply supportive. They talked about life, trauma, personal struggles. Tyler opened up. It felt like a real friendship. But months later, during a workplace conflict, that same colleague revealed Tyler's private struggles in front of others, painting him as unstable, emotional. Tyler wasn't just betrayed, he was blindsided, because what he thought was a safe space was actually a setup. So how do you protect yourself? Notice the pace. Real trust develops slowly. If someone rushes emotional intimacy, pause. Watch how they handle your small disclosures. If they gossip, mock, or use little things against you, you already have your answer. Protect your emotional privacy. Just because someone's listening doesn't mean they've earned the right to your truth. At the end of the day, not every listener is a safe place, and not every connection is built for mutual growth. Some people don't want closeness. They want access. And once they have it, they'll use it, not to lift you, but to own you. So move slow, observe well, and never hand your story to someone who hasn't earned the weight of carrying it. Vulnerability is power, in the right hands. Vulnerability is powerful, but only when it's earned, not assumed. Some people will make you feel safe just long enough to disarm you. They'll give attention, presence, even affection. But beneath the softness, they're building something else entirely. A trap. Trust is sacred. In the wrong hands, your story won't be held. It'll be sharpened. So trust wisely. And remember, real safety isn't in how someone makes you feel in the moment. It's in how they consistently honor who you are when it's not convenient. 5. They play the victim. Let's talk about one of the most manipulative tactics dangerous people use. Playing the victim. You confront them calmly. You bring up something real, something that hurt you or crossed a line. You expect dialogue, maybe even accountability. But instead, the script flips. Suddenly, they're the one who's wounded. They twist your words. They cry. They accuse you of being too harsh, too controlling, too sensitive. And before you know it, you're apologizing, even though you were the one harmed. Here's the truth. Manipulative people rarely take ownership. When exposed, they deflect. They paint themselves as misunderstood, always picked on, always the one who's trying their best. They bring up unrelated pain, weaponize emotion, and confuse the narrative. Not because they're actually hurt, but because it works. It makes you doubt yourself. What started as a boundary becomes a guilt trip. What began as a confrontation turns into chaos. This is where Stoic wisdom brings clarity. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The man who cries loudest is not always the one who was wronged." Emotion is not always truth. And people who manipulate with tears often do so to escape responsibility, not to heal. Let me share a story. A woman I know, we'll call her Emily, finally confronted a close friend about constantly crossing her boundaries. Instead of listening, the friend broke down and said, "I guess I'm just a terrible person. Everyone always leaves me." Emily, who had only asked for respect, ended up comforting the very person who had hurt her. And the real issue? It got buried beneath emotional theatrics. Months later, she realized this wasn't vulnerability. It was manipulation, a pattern meant to silence her and protect the one in the wrong. So how do you protect yourself? Stay grounded in reality. If your boundaries were crossed, don't let someone else's tears rewrite that fact. Delay the guilt. Take space before responding emotionally. Just because someone feels hurt doesn't mean you did harm. Watch for patterns. If every time you speak up, they play the victim, you're not in a misunderstanding. You're in a manipulation loop. At the end of the day, The most dangerous people don't always yell. Some cry. Some collapse into self-pity. Not because they're broken, but because they know it stops you from seeing the truth. So trust your instincts, even when someone else is trying to make you feel guilty for using them. 6. They disappear when they can't control you. One of the most revealing moments in any toxic relationship isn't the fight. It's the silence that comes after you reclaim your power. At first, they were everywhere, texting, complimenting, giving you attention that felt like affection. They made you feel seen, special, even needed. But then you stopped reacting. You stopped letting them steer your emotions. You stopped letting them make your choices. And suddenly, they vanished. No explanation, no closure, just silence. Here's the truth. Their disappearance isn't peace. It's a failed strategy. You stop playing their game. And without control, they have no use for connection. Because for them, it was never about closeness. It was about compliance. When they couldn't manipulate your emotions or dominate your decisions, they walked away. Not out of heartbreak, but out of frustration. They disappear hoping their silence still hurts, hoping their absence will echo louder than their presence ever did. But that silence? It's not punishment, it's proof. This is where Stoic wisdom speaks volumes. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Let the manipulative depart in silence. Their absence is your liberation." Yes, it may feel like loss at first. They were once a big part of your life. But if someone leaves because they lost control over you, that's not a tragedy. It's a gift. Their vanishing act confirms what their charm once masked. They weren't there to love you. They were there to own you. Let me share a story. A woman I know, let's call her Anna, was in a relationship with someone who dictated what she wore, who she saw, even what she posted online. At first, she mistook it for love, protection. But over time, she saw the truth. It was all about control. So she began to push back. She dressed how she wanted, spoke how she felt, made her own choices. And just like that, he was gone. No more messages, no warmth, no goodbye, just silence. And though it stung, Anna eventually saw it clearly. His love wasn't love. It was a leash. And the moment she unhooked it, he had no reason to stay. If this message resonated, hit like, not for me, but for you. Because choosing peace over control is one of the most powerful decisions you'll ever make. Subscribe if you want more content that helps you break free from toxic cycles and step fully into your power. And leave a comment below. Not just with your thoughts, but with one truth you've learned about reclaiming your voice. I read every comment, and I'll definitely reply. This is a space for growth, clarity, and real conversations. Let's keep having them together.